For centuries, humanity believed it took the Renaissance and the Industrial Revolution to produce precision engineering, gears, mathematics, and mechanics working in perfect harmony. But deep beneath the Mediterranean waves, something ancient shattered that timeline. An artifact, corroded, broken, and barely recognizable, emerged from a Greek shipwreck more than 2,000 years old. What scientists uncovered inside it would rewrite everything we thought we knew about human intelligence. This was no ordinary relic. It was a machine so advanced, so intricate, that even today's experts call it the first known computer in human history. But how could people from over 2,000 years ago create something that mirrored the precision of a Swiss watch, centuries before gears were even thought to exist? This is the story of the Antikythera Mechanism, the most mysterious machine ever built by ancient hands. It all began in 1900, off the coast of the small Greek island of Antikythera. A group of sponge divers sought fortune in the deep blue waters. Instead, they stumbled upon a ghostly graveyard of statues, amphorae, and marble fragments. Among these ancient treasures lay a lump of bronze and wood, fused together by centuries of corrosion. It looked insignificant, just another piece of wreckage. But when archaeologist Valerio Stays examined it a year later, something extraordinary caught his eye: faint, perfectly spaced gear teeth, hidden within the encrusted metal. At first, even Stays' colleagues dismissed his claim. Impossible, they said. Ancient Greeks didn't have gears. Yet Stays was right, and that forgotten piece of machinery would become one of archaeology's most mind-bending puzzles. For decades, the Antikythera fragment sat quietly in the National Archaeological Museum of Athens, defying explanation. But as technology advanced, so did curiosity. In the 1950s, physicist Derek J. de Sola Price began studying the fragments, using X-ray imaging, primitive by today's standards, but revolutionary for the time. His findings stunned the world. Beneath the rust and corrosion lay over 30 interlocking bronze gears, crafted with microscopic precision. It wasn't a random sculpture or decorative piece. It was a device, built to calculate and predict astronomical events. The Antikythera Mechanism could track the movements of the sun, moon, and planets, predict eclipses, and even chart the ancient Greek calendar. In essence, it was a mechanical universe, built by hands that should not have possessed such knowledge. How could ancient engineers have constructed such a masterpiece? Who taught them to align mathematics, astronomy, and craftsmanship so perfectly? Each dial, gear, and inscription within the Antikythera Mechanism tells a story of mathematical brilliance. Researchers discovered that the gears were not just ornamental, they were encoded with astronomical ratios, precise to the fraction of a degree. One key gear had 223 teeth, an exact number used to calculate the Saros cycle, the pattern that predicts lunar and solar eclipses every 18 years. Another mechanism tracked the Metonic cycle, aligning the solar and lunar calendars across 19 years. On the front, a display showed the zodiac, the phases of the moon, and the positions of celestial bodies. On the back, inscriptions detailed how to read the dials, effectively an ancient user manual. Imagine that, a hand-cranked, gear-driven computer that mapped the heavens with a sophistication not seen again until over a millennium later. If that doesn't redefine the word genius, nothing does. The shipwreck that carried the device was discovered around 60 meters below the surface, near Antikythera's rocky coast. Analysis revealed that it likely sank between 70 and 60 BCE, possibly on its way from Rhodes to Rome. Among the cargo were exquisite statues, glassware, and luxury goods, evidence that this was no ordinary merchant ship. The mechanism itself, carbon-dated and stylistically analyzed, pointed to an origin around 150 to 100 BCE, centuries before any other known mechanical device of similar complexity. But this raised an even bigger mystery: why only one? If the Greeks could build such technology, surely others existed. Where are they? Were they destroyed, lost, or hidden in the depths of time? This haunting absence gives the Antikythera Mechanism an almost mythical status, the only survivor of a forgotten age of invention. For over a century, scholars tried to rebuild it. Each new scan, each new fragment, added a small piece to the puzzle. But even with modern 3D imaging and X-ray tomography, some inscriptions were too faint, too eroded to read. Then came the breakthrough. Using AI reconstruction algorithms, scientists began training models to read microscopic engravings invisible to the human eye. The AI revealed thousands of hidden Greek characters, many corresponding to astronomical terms like Venus, Mercury, and cycle. For the first time, researchers could see how the device tracked not just the moon and sun, but all known planets of the ancient world. It was, in every sense, a cosmic calculator. The irony? It took artificial intelligence to understand the genius of ancient intelligence. Let's step back and imagine what the Antikythera mechanism looked like in its prime. A small bronze box, about the size of a shoebox. Dozens of gears fitted together inside, each tooth filed by hand to microscopic precision. Crank the handle, and tiny wheels within wheels would turn, mimicking the dance of the heavens above. On the front, dials displayed the position of the sun and moon through the zodiac. Tiny spheres, one light, one dark, showed the moon's phases. On the back, two spiral dials tracked long-term cycles, one for eclipses, one for the Olympic Games calendar. This wasn't just a tool, it was a manifestation of Greek philosophy. To them, understanding the cosmos wasn't just science, it was a way of touching the divine. To build a device that mirrored the heavens was, in their minds, an act of reverence, and perhaps, a glimpse of godlike understanding. If the Antikythera mechanism truly originated from the island of Rhodes, it might have been created under the influence of one of the greatest minds in history, Hipparchus, the father of trigonometry. Hipparchus lived around the same period the device was made and was known for developing advanced models of lunar and solar motion, precisely the type of data embedded within the mechanism. Some scholars believe the device might even have been designed in the tradition of Archimedes, who reportedly built similar celestial spheres. Could this have been one of his successor's works, or perhaps even a copy of an Archimedean original lost to time? No one knows for certain. The name of the craftsman, the workshop, even the city where it was assembled, all are lost. Yet, the mathematics behind it screams of minds far ahead of their era. In 2025, a research paper threw the academic community into a frenzy. Using simulation models, scientists argued that the original design might have been too tightly packed, causing the gears to jam if turned fully. This didn't mean the concept was wrong, just that the surviving design might be a prototype, or perhaps a non-functional teaching model. Others, however, fiercely disagreed. They argued that even if imperfect, the mechanism's level of design demonstrated a tradition of engineering, not a one-time accident. After all, you don't wake up one morning and invent a 30-gear precision calculator. There must have been earlier experiments, lost models, and workshops that refined this craft over generations. If that's true, then somewhere in history, there was an entire school of ancient Greek engineers capable of building machines centuries ahead of their time, and we've simply lost every trace of them. It's easy to look at ruins and imagine ancient people as primitive, but the Antikythera mechanism forces us to reconsider. These were people who charted the stars, invented democracy, discovered geometry, and understood the mechanics of the universe with an elegance we're only now rediscovering. Perhaps the question isn't how could they have known so much? But rather, how could we have forgotten so much? What if civilization is not a straight line, but a cycle, like the very dials of the mechanism itself? The rise and fall of knowledge, repeating endlessly through time. When podcaster Joe Rogan and historian Graham Hancock discussed the Antikythera mechanism, their conversation went viral. Hancock suggested it might be a remnant of a forgotten global civilization, one erased by cataclysm, leaving behind fragments of impossible technology. While most scholars reject such sweeping theories, the fascination remains. Why? Because the device feels out of place, like it belongs to a different era entirely. Even skeptics admit, the mechanism doesn't fit neatly into our timeline of progress. It suggests that somewhere, somehow, ancient humans achieved a level of understanding that rivaled, even surpassed, their time. And that's both inspiring and unsettling. The Antikythera mechanism isn't alone in challenging our assumptions. Think of the Baghdad battery, an ancient clay jar that might have produced electricity. Or the Nazca lines in Peru, enormous designs carved into the earth, visible only from the sky. Or the enigmatic Roman dodecahedron, whose purpose remains unknown despite hundreds of examples being found. Each artifact tells a similar story, of forgotten ingenuity, unexplained purpose, and human potential far older than we dare to believe. But the Antikythera mechanism stands above them all because it's not myth or speculation, it's real, it's measurable, and it's built with math we can still decode today. More than a century after its discovery, the Antikythera mechanism continues to fascinate and frustrate scientists. Every new scan, every fragment, every inscription uncovered adds a small piece to a vast, unfinished puzzle. And yet, perhaps that's what makes it so timeless. The device reminds us that human genius has no age. Whether in ancient Greece or the modern world, curiosity and creativity are boundless forces. Somewhere, 2,000 years ago, a craftsman turned a small bronze crank and watched the stars move on a miniature sky. In that moment, he held the universe in his hands. And today, as we reconstruct his work with the help of artificial intelligence, we're not just studying history, we're rediscovering ourselves. If one artifact can bridge 2,000 years of innovation, it's this one. The Antikythera mechanism isn't just a relic, it's a message. It tells us that brilliance isn't bound by time. That progress isn't always linear. That the light of knowledge can flicker, fade, and yet be reignited again when rediscovered. For centuries, the device lay silent beneath the sea, its gears frozen by salt and rust. But it waited, for divers, for scientists, for dreamers, to find it again. And when they did, it whispered across millennia. We were not as simple as you thought.